something has been bouncing around in my head for the last few days. I watched a video from Crossing Ways that describes Vegeta, a character from Dragon Ball Z, who is described in the video as having a MGTOW moment when he turned evil and became known as Majin Vegeta. I'll provide a link to the video, but essentially Vegeta became a villain in order to rid himself of the attachments of family and what he describes as a life of mediocrity. Majin Vegeta also murders a lot of innocent people. So I started thinking about MGTOW philosophy, and realized that under conventional standards, we are the bad guys. MGTOW believe in self-ownership and not being the disposable utilities of women. This can take many forms, but often takes the form of self-improvement and actualization, rather than simply self-indulgence. There may also be an element of Darwinism involved, as some MGTOW, myself included, see our societal gynocentrism as so embedded that the only way to dislodge it would be to allow society to collapse. We prepare for this collapse by teaching men about the physical, intellectual, and philosophical realities that hopefully allow men to make a better society from the ashes of the former one. Not all MGTOW think about the larger picture, obviously, and the community is mostly focused on individuals and individualism, with most MGTOW simply trying to understand the world and create a better life for themselves. So I was thinking about examples from pop culture that I could relate to this philosophy of self-improvement and social Darwinism, similarly to the way Crossing Ways related it to Majin Vegeta. And I came up with two, and like Vegeta, they're both villains, pretty major ones in fact. They are Darth Bane from the Star Wars universe, and Apocalypse from Marvel's X-Men. I'm assuming you know what Star Wars is, but if not, I'm linking to a couple videos from Super Carlin Brothers. The first video is called Jedi Are Evil, and goes into how the Jedi may be the protectors of peace, but they also define the peace according to their own ideology. This is very analogous to the situation MGTOW face, where the morality of society is defined by gynocentrism. The second video is called We Are All Sith, and goes into the Sith code, which focuses on self-improvement and actualization. The Sith, particularly the incarnation known as the Dark Lords of the Sith, were particularly focused on self-improvement and Darwinism. An iconic Sith Lord not from the movies and only featured briefly in the animated Clone Wars cartoon is Darth Bane, who is credited with some of the following choice quotes.
"Honor is a fool's prize. Glory is of no use to the dead. Equality is a lie, a myth to appease the masses. Simply look around and you will see the lie for what it is. There are those with power, those with the strength and will to lead, and there are those meant to follow, those incapable of anything but servitude and a meager, worthless existence. The dark side will devour those who lack the power to control it. It's a fierce storm of emotion that annihilates anything in its path. It lays waste to the weak and unworthy. But those who are strong can ride the storm winds to unfathomable heights. They can unlock their true potential. They can sever the chains that bind them. They can dominate the world around them. Only those with the power to control the dark side can ever truly be free."
Now take away fantasy elements like the Force and the dark side, and examine the philosophy behind Darth Bane's words. Bane believed in merit, not equality. Our gynocentric society chains men down to serve women in the name of equality, but MGTOW know that men are the strength and power of the world, even as manginas and male feminists submit to their own meager and worthless existence as the followers of women. Bane also believed in self-mastery, unlocking one's true potential and dominating the world around them. The purpose of all of this was to achieve true freedom. If you're interested in learning more about Darth Bane, someone actually uploaded the audiobook novels about him to YouTube. I'll provide a link to the first book called Path of Destruction in the description. Moving from Star Wars to X-Men, one of the most powerful villains in the X-Men comics is Apocalypse. I'll link to a video from WatchMojo.com about his comic book origins, and there is a movie coming out featuring him in 2016 which may be interesting. However, like the Sith, I want to focus on Apocalypse's philosophy. Apocalypse is a strong proponent of not only social Darwinism like Darth Bane, but also transhumanism, which is using technology to overcome human limitations and improve the human condition, or in Apocalypse's case, mutant condition. If you're unfamiliar with X-Men, the entire premise of the comic is based on evolution. Essentially, the superpowered mutants, which are the stars of the comic book, are the next stage of human evolution. Apocalypse is the living embodiment of concepts such as survival of the fittest, and also the transhumanist ideal of using technology to overcome the limitations of biology. How does this relate to MGTOW? Apocalypse is focused on improvement, including the use of technology to overcome biology, and MGTOW are focused on improvement, including the use of technology to overcome biology. Why are characters in pop culture that have a MGTOW-like philosophy villains? To answer that, we must consider the utilitarian aspect of heroism. which is a concept that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and to consider the implications of how this relates to the gynocentric world we live in. Stardust did an excellent video recently called The Price of Blotting Out the Sun, which goes into how if MGTOW grows too large, it necessarily threatens society as we know it, because male labor is the engine of society. I even said in one of my own videos about tribalism that the blood of men greases the wheel of progress. So let's say that you as a MGTOW are given a choice. Imagine two buttons, one green and one red. You hit the green button. Men will continue to be exploited as utilities by society in general and women specifically. They will continue to have their money and children stripped from them by their ex-wives with impunity in order to keep these men working under threat of prison and to alleviate the burden on the welfare state. Gynocentrism will continue to go as strong as ever, with perhaps the occasional reform thrown to men like a bone to keep the peasants from revolting. If you hit the red button, society will collapse. Gynocentrism will largely end as women will be unable to protect or provide for themselves and will be forced to submit and become the property of men, in addition to the competition between men due to scarce available resources, which will lead to male scarcity. The divorce courts will be gone, and the feminist movement will be nothing more than a distant memory. However, the price of these positive accomplishments will be the death of millions, possibly billions of innocent people. Coltane, in a video about the concept of dualism in biology, demonstrates that the population of the world greatly exceeds the planet's normal capacity to sustain, and it is only through our complex and technological infrastructure that humanity can maintain the population numbers it currently does. A societal collapse complete enough to dislodge gynocentrism would also be complete enough to disrupt this infrastructure, possibly irreparably, meaning that up to 5 billion people could possibly die. So to return to our dilemma, we have two buttons. One maintains the gynocentric status quo, and the other causes the death of millions, possibly billions of innocent people. Which button would you push if you had to choose one? Have you figured it out? Even if you haven't, the fact that you're still thinking about it shows why those who espouse a philosophy similar to MGTOW in pop culture are villains. Now at the end of the day, there is no morality in nature, but it is interesting to acknowledge that when MGTOW critics mention the societal threat MGTOW poses, they aren't just talking out of their asses. I realize that this may be a difficult subject for some who think of themselves as good people to consider that in a fictional world we might in fact be Dark Lords of the Sith or Horsemen of Apocalypse. And maybe I'm wrong. Tell me what you think in the comments section. Please like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.